Hey guys, we're going to continue on with our theme of value price products today with TX5. TX5? Really? I mean, come on. I mean, they're like the premium price products in the whole saddle world, right? And they are for good reason on a few of their models, right? Lone Star specifically, HPR system, all the features and bells and whistles and benefits that go along with that, right? Well, just like Mercedes-Benz has the S-Class. I mean, it's a $100,000 car easy, right? They realize that they're leaving out a large target audience if they just focus on just the S-Class. And they brought out a C-Class, allowed a lot of people to get into the feel and the fit of a Mercedes-Benz at a much reduced price. BMW followed suit and did the same thing with the A-Class. A-Class is a phenomenal car, but again, it's a six-figure car. Not very many people can experience the quality of BMW if it's just offered at six-figure car entry-level pricing. So they came out with a 3 Series. You see 3 Series cars all over the world now, and people are like, I drive a Beamer, but it's a 3 Series for $40,000 or whatever it is, right? Matthew Tompkins realized that, man, I'm missing out a large audience, especially the introductory level people that are getting into the saddle world. And a lot of times, people pick a saddle, they stay with that brand for a long time because that's what they started with. Well, Matthew said, you know what, let me offer a starter saddle as well. They can step up to a Lone Star or a Reaper later on, but what if I offered an introductory level saddle at a really good price point for my brand? And that's exactly what he's done with the Rayder, R-A-Y-D-E-R, and we're going to unveil it today on this video, go over the features and benefits it has, where he saved some money, what he still offers in this package. I can tell you, I've had this saddle since January. If you're watching this now, it's probably closing in on April of 2022. I put a lot of seat time in it. I actually showed this in a video, the video where we made the rope, and I said I was hanging around testing some products. I was actually in this saddle in that video, if you go back and watch it. Spent a lot of seat time in this saddle, got a lot of thoughts on it, so let's get into it right now. I don't think you've actually held this yet, have you?
No.
Okay, so give me your first impressions.
It's pretty freaking light, that's for sure. Like, insanely light. Not much on it. Not a buckle. I mean, it'll add a little bit when you add a satchel or a pouch. Not many buckles on it. Buckles are a little bit different. They kind of slide on. They don't.
Yeah, so those are G-hooks instead of what our usual mini Cobra buckles that we're used to with our normal TX5's.
Yeah. Pretty light.
A good solid Raptor buckle on the waistband.
Very solid.
Now Matthew sent us this one in a stock form. I know you're like me, right?
Yeah, the bridge is a
the bridge is a non-starter for you, right?
You can't step through. That's just already caught my foot there.
yeah. If you don't think that I've trained him, right? But we want to show the audience a stock Rayder, and without doing an openable bridge. Mine, you're going to see here in a little bit, is an openable bridge. Again, we're huge fans of openable saddles. Don't have to step through it like you just saw Gabe do. All I do is reach over, grab my Fusion auto locking carabiner, and I'm good to go. And we'll convert Gabe to an openable bridge as soon as we get through this review, right?
Yeah. Because
this is going to be your saddle you're going to hunt out of next year.
It's pretty dang light. I mean, saddle hunting's light enough, then you can take this down. This thing's crazy light. I mean, you can add a pouch to it. That's not going to add that much. I
weighed this actually before we walked out, 1.16 pounds. And still packed with a ton of features we're going to get into in the archery room a little bit. We'll go over that. We'll come back and show you a bunch of things. Actually, I was talking with Matthew a whole lot during the development process of this, and he was trying to make a very minimalist saddle. He ended up going with a saddle called the Minimalist. You guys have probably seen that. This is kind of going to be an unveil and a reveal video today on this one. No one else has seen this, but maybe one or two other people in the country. And I've spent a lot of time talking with Matthew on this. The neat thing is it's got a floating belt in here, got the Raptor buckle, which is really nice. And then he was going to make it just very minimalistic. And I'm like, dude, you've got to put one molly loop on the waist down here, right? Because we love using the TX5 quick draw hanger, and we'll show you that here. This is how it works. Okay, guys, if you're wondering why I was so adamant in my discussions with Matthew, I'm like, you've got to put this little molly loop on the bottom chassis. It's because I love these little things right here. This is my favorite. This is probably my favorite accessory that's ever been invented in the saddle hunting world. It's the TX5 quick draw hanger. Let me show you how we use this. So You put it up through the molly loop here, and then we're going to basically girth hitch it around and pull it through itself. Then you've got this elastic loop here. Well, what's that for? You take it, run it over this, give it a twist, go through again, and then one more twist and push it through. What that's going to do is, watch this, we're going to snug it in. Look how tight that got. So now, I'm going to go ahead and put it on like normal. And so when I'm getting ready to rappel down from a tree after my hunt, you know, I'm hanging there, I've rappelled down, I take the stick off, wrap it up, I've got the corresponding female end over here of the quick draw hanger. Take it with my hands, snap that in. Now I can let that hang. I am hands-free to rappel down. I've got my belay hand free, I can brake with it, do whatever I want, but both hands free. And then when I hit the ground, guys, then I just say the first thing I do, unclip this, lay it off the side. I don't have to worry about dropping or throwing my stick down to the ground, anything like that. Guys, that is like the best tool ever. So you'll see that's why I was so adamant with Matthew. I'm like, you got to put these little loops on it, and so I'm so glad he did. It's a great little feature. Matthew was thinking about it, but I pushed him over the edge. I'm like, dude, you got to put at least one molly loop on each lower chassis that'll be, you know, hitting you around the lower thighs. So yeah, you'll see there's one molly loop on each side. So, and really that's about all that I found I needed. You know, in fact, it's funny, everybody puts molly loops all the way across. Yeah, but it's not needed. Really the only thing we use is either the one right there on the left hip or on the right hip, depending on which side you want to. In fact, our good buddy Scott Hesterly has, when he builds his own saddles. In fact, we're going to do a future video sometime of going to his house and watching him build a saddle. It's going to be freaking cool video. But he only puts molly loops on the sides. He's like, that's all you need. All right. So anyway, yeah, this is an awesome. Of course, you guys know Matthew did me a solid, made it in Predator Fall Gray for me. Got the tunnel rat here for Gabe, which is what his last 2 or 3 saddles have been in from TX5. And of course mine are always in Predator Fall Grays. Let's go back into the archery room and show you all the ins and outs of this saddle. Well guys, the Rayder from TX5. You know, I'm pretty excited about this because I get a lot of messages on social media, people asking me about equipment, gear, different things like that. Well, one of the most common questions I get is, what saddle do you guys choose to run? All things being equal, you boil it down to one saddle. What's your saddle of choice? Well, if you ask any of those guys that I've responded to, I always say TX5. And most of them are appreciative and they're thankful, but every once in a while someone will go, oh, I was afraid you were going to say that. I'm like, why? They're like, man, they're pricey. You know, $350 or so for a Lone Star, $305 for a Reaper, $289.99 for the Minimalist. Well, that's what Matthew took into account, and he said, you know what? Let's put people into the quality of a TX5, get them started in this lineup for $239.99. Heck of a price point for TX5 quality. Let's go over some of the things that this saddle brings to the market, some of the things that it leaves out from those high-end models in the lineup, how Matthew has made up for that, and the things that are still there, right? So what are some of the things that are missing that allows that price to come down $110 from the Lone Star? Well, if you look right here at the Viper loops, right, the iconic Viper loops that one of my favorite features on a TX5 saddle. I love it. Once you get accustomed to the Viper loop and clipping in low light conditions or just when your hands are numb, just the ease of finding the Viper loop is just incredible. And what most people are used to here are these huge big Viper loops on, you know, again, this is a Lone Star here. And this is Gabe's saddle from last year with the stretch seat, Viper loops, you know, tunnel rat, pretty much the same everything as this, but the new version. And you'll see these huge big Viper loops here. It took 7 folds of construction to construct these. It's a different piece of fabric than the chassis here, right? It's sewn in around everything else. This takes a lot of time to construct this Viper loop for the lineman belt. Okay. Well, what Matthew did here was he made the same design, the same functionality, the same form of a Viper loop, but he integrated it into this 1-inch webbing here, the moly webbing, and instead of taking 7 folds and different construction and a whole lot of extra time, he gave this same form of the Viper loop, but reduced the footprint into, made it with this 1-inch webbing loop here. So easier to construct, a little cheaper, less time involved. Again, all that time is money, you've heard that. It can bring the price point of the saddle down. What's another feature that has been changed? Well, on the Lone Star, your $350 TX5, you've got the HPR system, right? Where it's got a rigid, what Matthew calls a stay, a rigid piece of material in here that really helps keep the saddle, the bridge here, from collapsing as you lean into it. Well, that's a lot of time and money as well to build that. Again, that's what commands that premium price of $350 when you start looking at those features. Well, Matthew's like, how can I replicate that and kind of give people a poor man's HPR system? And he did it with a really stiff, rigid piece of 1 3/4-inch webbing here, which really helps fortify the side of the saddle. It's not going to do the exact same thing as his vaunted HPR system, but it's going to help somewhat. So that's a big difference. The Cobra buckles that we're kind of used to, and you saw Gabe make note of it here, these little mini sport buckles. You know, we're big fans of these little buckles here, and I'm sure it's going to take Gabe, as he mentioned, it's going to take him a little bit to get used to. The G-hooks, it won't be a big deal, but they're really super nice, big, stamped out G-hooks. They're not Etsy G-hooks that you'll find if you search around the internet. They're not from Alibaba, you know, they cost $1/4 piece. These are really nice, heavy-duty G-hooks. But you know, that's a cost savings there as well. We mentioned going with one little gear hanger here instead of this whole huge big row on the bottom here, where you've got all the different choices on his premium lineup here. One, I mentioned to you out there, kind of all that I really saw the need. I just need a place to clip my quick draw hanger on, right? So that's a big thing. The design of the saddle still keeps the curved lower bottom, upper bottom, and then you've got a 1-inch cup built into the seat. You know, Matthew figured it out. He nailed the geometry of the saddle early on. That's why you see so many people talk about the comfort of a TX5 saddle. Let's get into other features. Now, we mentioned out there, you saw Gabe, we're not used to stepping through bridges because we just don't. But this is the stock bridge where, you know, it's a 3/16-inch full bury Amsteel blue. Now this color, it's not your monitor, it's an OD green, even though it's Amsteel blue. 3/16-inch full bury with a Swabish hitch on the side. You can adjust that up and down. If people want to, you know, adjust the loops and find a comfort point other than the middle, you can certainly do that on both sides. You know, a lot of people, they're not going to mind stepping through a bridge, right? That's just us. So that's nothing against any saddle, any manufacturer at all that has a non-openable bridge. That's just a pet peeve of ours. And you know what? When you figure it out, you've been at it long enough, you figure out what you like, what you don't like. So this is a great bridge. I can just tell you that as soon as we drop this video, we'll be converting this to an openable bridge like mine. So let's look at mine. Mine's a little different. Obviously it is openable, but aside from that, you'll notice it's not Amsteel. It's actually a 9mm Blue Water Pro-Tac, I think is what, yeah, Blue Water Pro-Tac is the name of this rope. And as much time as I've spent in it, it's held, you can't even see anywhere at all on it. It's going to hold up super nice throughout the life of this saddle. And again, another Swabish hitch here with a tender built in, comes factory stock like that. Even if it's connected full, you know, girth hitch on this side with, just like Gabe's is, you still get the factory tender and Swabish hitch there. Now, Gabe's belt, you'll notice his belt here, if I turn it around the right way, it's a 1-inch belt in a sliding belt in the chassis right here. It's a 1-inch belt. Let's show you the other option that I've got on my belt right now. Okay guys, so Gabe's saddle came with a stock 1-inch webbing belt. If you want to upgrade to an 1.5-inch webbing belt, it's $7 more. But you still have a floating chassis, floating belt here, and that's kind of cool. If you wonder what that feature is for, if you've ever adjusted a belt, and then, you know, sometimes you adjust like a side or so, and you get it where if it's fixed, if it's rigid, you adjust it, and your belt is sitting cockeyed off to the side, your belt buckle rather. Well, if you're OCD, like I am, you kind of want to slide that back over to the middle. You can do that with a floating belt chassis like this. Okay guys, I think that covers most of the options available to you as a buyer of the new Rayder. Obviously it comes stock with a 1-inch belt, floating belt in the chassis, upgraded just like we showed you to the 1.5 inch. The two choices in the bridges, from the 3/16 inch AM steel to the 9mm Blue Water ProTac. There will be choices on the website of webbing color, camo, things like that, okay? You know, I had a guy ask me, because when I just did recently another video on CGM saddles, and it was a fantastic saddle. I talked about economies of scale and the price point and how Jerry was able to drive that price point down, and one of the viewers had a great question. He's like, why don't other people do that? Why can't other people get a price point of $175? Well, I'm going to answer that a little bit. Jerry does some things that are very good from a business standpoint, and in helping to explain that and taking nothing away from CGM saddles, right? I take nothing back that I said in that video. It's a fantastic saddle. If you're looking for a $175 saddle, I'd hunt out of that all year long, any day of the week, right? Here's how I explain why a CGM saddle can come in at $175 and an entry-level TX5 is $239.99, if you want to know the difference. I just finished binge watching a series that I thoroughly enjoyed called Rayder on Amazon. Some of you guys may have seen it. Great, fantastic series, and the main character, Rayder, had a saying that he espoused over and over again, and it was that details matter. He said it over and over again. Even things as simple as where to put an apostrophe in the name of writing someone's name. Did it make it a plural possessive or not? Details matter, right? Well, if you look at TX5, what does it carry on? Okay, we're missing some things from the top of the line, the top models in the lineup. What does it carry with it? Well, it's the details, right? And I think it's a good way to show this is if you look at like the CGM saddle that we looked at. This is the Sidewinder for $175, right? And the options here, you got a belt, a rope belt, or you've got a frame buckle, right? Well, this frame buckle, if you look it up, costs about $1.86 if you and I bought it. Well, if you look at the buckle that Matthew puts on the Rayder or any of his saddles, right? It's an ADF Raptor. That's a $22.75 buckle as opposed to $1.86. Again, price. Is there anything wrong with the frame buckle? No, not at all. But that's just showing you where some of the price difference is coming from. If you look at my Cobra here, again, details. And what constitutes a different price point on some of these things? Okay, the G hooks are quite different. It's, you know, they're not near as thick, you can just tell, as what the Rayder has on it. If you look at this is stock exactly the way it was sent to me from CGM saddles. There's no elastic keeper to fold this up and put it in there, right? The ends of it are not bar tacked or anything to keep this G hook from sliding off. Again, just little details. If you look at where the frame buckle was on my Sidewinder here, it's, you know, got two little bar tacks here, which is going to hold it. I know these for a fact. These saddles are tested at a testing facility and hold up well beyond anything. Like I said, I would have no problem hunting out of that saddle. But if you look at how this webbing is tacked on from the buckle, it's more of like a seatbelt style. A lot more intricate stitching, a lot more detail, a lot more time invested here. Again, if you look, again, the buckles that I just talked about, the leg straps, elastic keepers on both of them, bar tacked around to keep this G-strap from falling down. Is there anything wrong with the CGM saddle? Absolutely not. I've taken nothing away from that saddle. But I had several people ask me, why don't everybody sell for $175? Well, there's going to be people who look at this and go, well, why can't they sell a TX5 for $175? There's differences, and I have a lot of people ask me, what's so different about a TX5 saddle? Those are some of the details that are different. Going back to Reacher, details matter, right? That's why some of the price point is different. Nothing against the CGM saddle at all, just differences. And guys, the last thing I'll say about TX5, because one of the concerns some people have, I've heard this a lot too, is, man, okay, so they make a great saddle. I hate that waiting list. I have to wait for them to open up sales. I just can't buy one. But you know what? That's changed a lot in the last few months. Matthew's actually hired 4 full-time sewers that work. I mean, during the Christmas season in December, they were working 6 and 7 days a week to catch up on orders. They actually opened up orders and opened up sales in November of last year, and have kept up to a 2 to 4 week turnaround time from the time you order. So there is no more wait list right now at all. They're just open for orders, open for business. So hopefully, guys, that gives you about all the information you need to know about the new TX5 Rayder. Phenomenal little saddle at an entry-level price point to get into the TX5 lineup. We'll see you the next time around. Thanks a lot for watching.